Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez. Hey, Jeremy. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm great. I love it. I was waiting for it, and it delivered. It was the entrance music I always wanted.
What are you drinking?
I got Coke Zero. I get up way too early, and coffee is way
Okay.
too late in the day for me, so I'm rocking with a little bit of the zero sugar caffeine. I drink coffee, water, and milk, and Coke Zero, and that's pretty much all I drink all the time. Good times.
Fair enough. I got a cup of Tim's here, double or not double, single sugar, single malt, cream, and extra large coffee. So always an extra large.
You're gonna be a lifelong fan of theirs, aren't you?
This was tough because you mentioned your work schedule.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm an early
after last week. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm an early bird.
Your work schedule is weird. Yeah. We got a bit of a delay here, so people watching just bear with us on that. But what is it? What exactly are you doing? Where you're working, like, whatever the hours were you told me, like 4 till like noon or something?
Sure. I work for Trader Joe's. It's a company that's pretty popular in the continental U.S. I work grocery. I basically, I got a job out of college, and I did the managerial stuff, and then still doing it years later because it's a means to an end.
Cool. So you're actually managing the store?
No, I used to manage it, but I found that managing and telling people what to do was not something I wanted to do all the time.
That's
not a whole lot of rewards.
I hear you. I had a supervisor. No, I had a supervisor job in my last job, and I said never again. I wanted it my whole life until I got it, and then once I got it, I was like, nope, this isn't for me. I assume you're the same.
Yeah. I made decisions where I stand by them, but it led me to lose the managerial position, and then it made me realize what was important in life, and a career telling other people what to do was not something that was particularly important to me.
No, I hear it. I hear you. My wife is a manager of a store, and I don't know how she does it. I really don't.
More power to her, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice money. She brings home the bacon. Yeah.
She's worth every penny, man. No doubt.
Absolutely. So it was important to me to have you on this particular week, and I don't know if you realize that. And I'll tell you why.
I don't.
Last year, almost exactly a year ago, I had a very milestone birthday, and I had my wife set up a Zoom call for like family, basically, and then she kind of told me, I didn't know about it. She kind of told me at the last minute, oh, if you want to invite friends, you can too. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks for the notice. And so I posted the link in our Fight Game group, and I'm like, if anyone wants to join me, go ahead. And I believe you were one of the only 2 people in the group that actually joined in on that Zoom call. Do you remember that?
Oh, Paul. Yeah, of course I remember that. It was a great time. I'm happy to celebrate you. You're a great person.
It was, but you actually did it. And I
sure, why not?
But I appreciated it. Like I'll never forget it. No, I'll never forget it. I'll be honest with you, because
you're welcome.
You know what? Like, there's a lot of people in that group. No, there's a lot of people in that group, and a lot of people couldn't make it. It was short notice, whatever. But you took the time, and it had to be awkward. I mean, we got like 30 people, and it's almost all my family, and you were there. Brady was there.
No, man, it was fun. I will tell you, I have been in Zoom calls where I am just a man in the audience, and it is the turn to celebrate somebody else, and it was the turn to celebrate you. And it was my pleasure to do so at the time to do so. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, I will gladly take any opportunity to celebrate you. You are a great person.
Well, thank you. No, I'm not, but thank you.
But that was a very nice thing of you to say. Thank you.
I felt bad because you had a couple, maybe 2 months before that. I'm guessing, if my timeline's right, you had gotten married. It was December, right? Of 2020.
Oh, no. You got your timeline a little mixed up, but my birthday was actually a month before, And I tried to do the Zoom thing, but unfortunately my 40th birthday followed on January 6th, 2021. So everyone was pretty occupied with something else going on.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. So I kind of chalked that one up to an L.
That
was August. That was August.
Yeah.
And so I had people come to that.
August, really?
Yes, it was August. Wow. It was we had met on the 8th of August in 2016, and things happened, COVID, trying to figure it all out, right? And we ended up deciding we were just going to do it ourselves and invite people that were close to us then, now, present, forever, or whatever, and just do it through the Zoom and get it done. Because being married to her was the most important thing to me. It still is now, obviously, but at the time, and we just didn't want to wait. I know people that are choosing to wait to be with family, the whole deal. That wasn't important to us. It was like, till death do us part, man. We're all in it forever. But yeah, that was August, and then January.
Okay, so was that? So I'm wondering. Okay, because you had done the Zoom wedding, right? Like Garrett did.
Yeah, I was a week after Garrett. So
okay,
Garrett was the first
and
of
so
August.
Was that? Garrett was the 1st of August, and you were the 8th.
Yes.
So that's why. Okay, so I felt bad about not making it, but I believe I was working. I was doing the UFC coverage for F4W on that night.
Well, you can come to the anniversary Zoom. You can come to the anniversary Zoom. You're welcome.
Are you going to do that this year?
Who knows?
Okay, cool.
I will say though, I have to pull the curtain back a little bit, but I think this is the week that my second wedding actually outlasted my first wedding. So I'm officially a winner.
Yeah. So
I know, right? I was married in my early 20s.
I didn't know.
Kind of led me down this path.
Okay.
I don't talk about it, but we could talk about it now. We could talk about it.
Well, no.
Coffee, you know.
I was curious because you made a comment at one point in a conversation we were having where you said something about, like, I had made a comment about, like, how, you go to Dave's and watch, the pay-per-views and stuff. And I was making a point, like, I can't just go out and do that. This past weekend, I went to my friend Doug's for the Royal Rumble, and it's the first time I've gotten together with someone to watch a pay-per-view in probably 10 years. And it's hard. It's hard for me to go away for 4 days, or like you flew to Chicago to see All Out. Right. I can't do stuff like that. So when I made the comment to you, like I said, if I tried to do that stuff, I'd be divorced. And then you made a comment about how it was like one of the scariest times of your life was when you were going through a divorce or something like that, or you thought you were going to get divorced or something to that effect. And I didn't know, like, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, he's only been married for a year. Or is he talking about that already? Or is he? And then now that you say so you must have been talking about your previous marriage.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I was married for about a year and a half, but I was with the individual for 7 years. Things just didn't work out the way that they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Lessons learned and all that stuff. But, you have to look at it. You turn around, it's like, that all happened. It was all bad. It was in a bad place, but I'm in a great place now, So
it got you to
it's
where
all
you are
about
now.
It's all about navigating, and everyone has opportunities and everyone has obstacles, and every opportunity and obstacle for each individual is different. But how we react to the obstacles in front of us is completely within our control.
That's profound. Did you just come up with that on your own?
It's just life theories that my mom is a very smart individual, and she's gone through a lot in her life, and she's someone I look up to a lot, and she probably, if she ever hears this, will probably make her cry if she hears that. But she
maybe she will.
There are absolutely. I hope so. I try and plug this thing every time I get a chance to, be on screen or something,
Oh, good.
But she taught me a lot just by overcoming things that she shouldn't have had to overcome, just in general. And it's like, I've had my fair share of obstacles, but who's to say my stuff is more dramatic than the next person's? But yeah, we all have a road that we walk, and every walk is different. And you just have to look at it like that. That's why when you and I talk about things about wrestling, and your perspective is totally different than mine, it's like we're coming from two different paths into the juncture.
Not just wrestling, like just life in general. It's like Kelly Clarkson said, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." People, I have to sing to keep the ratings up. So there you go. There's
absolutely.
My singing
I need to be surprised by who you're going to pull out next on the jukebox. That's what I'm here for.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Stronger. Yeah, no, that's a favorite around here. My daughter's a big Kelly Clarkson fan. Actually, at least two of my daughters, maybe a third. Now that I think about it, but yeah, Emily loves Kelly Clarkson, and my oldest daughter Alicia loves Kelly Clarkson. Loves.
So run down your kids real quick. Let me know how many.
Yeah. So if you can you see behind me there?
Yes. You got 4 in there.
Emily's my favorite. That's 4 the 6. So those were the first.
I got you to
4.
commit to an answer.
And that's Alicia is the one in the middle. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? She's laughing behind you. You might be able to hear it. So she's the favorite because she's still home, and because she doesn't give us any trouble. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have met Becky Lynch. So there you go.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's true. That picture was taken. That was taken probably, oh God, at least 10 years ago. I mean, it's definitely before Emily was born. I'm trying to think of how old they all were. John looks like he's 10 there, so maybe 13 years ago. That picture was taken. So that's John on the far. I don't even know. So going from the bottom, we got Brianna, and then the 2 boys are John and Paul, and then on the top is Alicia, and those are my 4 oldest. Emily's wasn't born yet when that picture was taken, and then Sydney, she would have been alive, but she wasn't with us yet. So Sydney is a biological sibling to John and Brianna. The oldest 2 are Paul and Alicia. Those are my birth kids, and Emily is also the biological sibling of the other 3. So they have the same mom but different dads. And
are John and Paul named after Beatles?
You know what? In a roundabout, actually, no.
Okay. John
would be named after. There are at least 3 Johns that I know of directly. That he's kind of his dad. His birth dad was John. His grandpa was John, and I think maybe even his great grandpa was John. And then in me, Paul is named after me. I was named after my grandfather, but who I never met. He died 3 years before I was born. But my mom married a guy named Paul as well. So after my mom and dad split up when I was like 3, she got remarried to a guy named Paul. And it's crazy. And then my brother's name is Andrew, and his middle name is Paul. I have a cousin whose name is Stephen Andrew Paul. His last name is Paul. Okay. Like, it's just, we have no imagination in our family.
You guys keep it consistent. That's cool.
Yeah. The funny thing is so when my wife got pregnant, and we were very young, we got married when we were 20. Actually, I was 20. She was 19, and she was already pregnant. We said, we're not naming the kid Paul. I have Paul, my dad's Paul, my grandpa's Paul. We're not naming him Paul. And so but we'll have Paul in the name. He'll be, Paul will be his middle name, but his first name is going to be Richard. And he knows this. So if he's watching this, he's not learning anything new. So it's going to be Ricky. It was going to be Ricky Fontaine, Richard Fontaine, whatever. Okay. Richard Paul Fontaine. I like that. Yeah. And then, my wife's mom, just had that, Rick, little Ricky, whatever. As soon as he came out and we looked at him, it's like, he looks like Paul. He's a Paul. We have to call him Paul. I'm not kidding. It was literally instantaneous. So we named him Paul, and yeah. And so my stepmom called him PJ, just because Paul Jr. And for 5 years, my wife's mom called him Ricky, because she just couldn't get it straight that we had 2 people named Paul. And then she's like, how are you going to know who I'm talking to? And I'm like, well, if you're yelling, you're probably talking to me. And if you're being really nice, you're talking to him. Yeah. And then that's Alicia, fantastic. 1993. So you would have been You'd have been what, 13?
12, 13, yeah.
Yeah. So around the time you were 12 and 13, you hear the name Alicia. Who are you thinking about?
Alicia Silverstone.
There you go. That's where we got the name. Yeah. Yeah. That crazy video.
Sure.
So yeah, but we just spell it a little differently. Because I had a girl that I worked with named Alicia, and it was spelled with 2 E's instead of an I in the middle. So I just kind of like that spelling. So we named her Alicia after that, but it was totally after Alicia Silverstone. Like not a question.
That's a great story. That's a great story.
Yeah.
My family did the whole tricky thing. They inverted initials in, like, my brother and myself have inverted initials, and my sister and myself have inverted initials, but their initials aren't inverted with each other. And so they pass down middle names through the family. But my brother has kids, I don't, and then my sister doesn't have any either. So my mom gets to be very selective with the grandchildren.
And now that you're 40, I mean, I guess, at this point, the die is kind of cast. I mean, you could decide you want kids, but by 40, most of the times you haven't, you're probably not gonna, right? Or have you guys even talked about it? It's kind of awkward question to ask.
We have it's one of those, it has to be something that we're both fully committed to. And my wife has aspirations in her career.
Gotcha.
That I have to support, and I'm ready and willing to support 100%. And I came to the realization a long time ago that kids might not happen in my life, and I will be okay with that. I have nieces and nephews. I have beautiful godchildren. I have kids that I can take care of and show affection and life lessons to, and hopefully how they can be a better person with influence from me in some way, shape, or form. So sometimes I wish, but it's okay. It's not the thing that other people would be super upset about. That's not for me.
I hear you. And you know what? There's pluses and minuses to it. I mean, there are times when I think, you know what? I mean, if we didn't have kids, or even if we hadn't have taken the extra 4 on, my 2 are grown up, I could just fly away anytime I wanted to. I could go to Vegas to see, All Out, or Double or Nothing. I could drive to Chicago in 2 days and watch Dynamite. And I would, if we didn't have Emily, even I would do that. But that's the choices we've made, and I'm cool with it. Like I get to wake up every day. I get up every day and I go and get Emily ready for school. The first thing she does is smile. I go out and meet her bus when they drop her off, and I get a big smile. Like, you can't replace that. But by the same token, like I look at someone like you sometimes, and I'm like, man, I wish I wish I had that sometimes. Like, and then I think, well, I'm pretty happy with what I have. So, I think we should all be happy with what we have.
I'm closer to you than you think, my friend. I have a lot of freedom, but I am a homebody. I go to work, and I love nothing more than to come home and be in a comfortable space with the people that I love, with the dogs. Going over to Dave's house is actually one of the only times I ever leave my house. If that,
it's quite a drive, right?
It's about a 45-minute drive.
Yeah,
it's about a 45-minute drive. It's not a big deal. I can listen to a podcast. I think I actually listened to one of yours on the way over there, the Dynamite show on the way over there. Big plug. On the way over there the other day. So I was listening to that because I try not to listen to something WWE before I go right into a 4-hour WWE show. Perish the thought. But yeah, I go over there and I went over there and I hooked up the Amazon Fire Stick to get the Peacock ready for Dave, and just bullshitted for a few minutes. And then Garrett came over. A few more people came over. We had our masks on the entire time. It was like we're all just sitting in Dave's living room, all with masks on, completely responsible, and nobody fussed about anything. We all knew the score and just watched the show. There were a couple people that don't really watch the show. LaRocca was there and he's checked out of the main show. So he was dipping in.
He just watches NXT. Yeah.
And Pampero Firpo's daughter Mary was there, and she doesn't. She's there for the social and just kind of like, hey, what's going on? Give me the lowdown. What do you think of this? She knows the wrestling world, but doesn't like keep up with it because she's got better things to do with her time. And then a couple other people, then we were. Yeah, right. And then so we're all just talking, having a good time. And so when we're watching it, we didn't realize how unhappy people were from the show, because we were all just
that's what shocked me.
Yeah, we were just like, it's fine, it's whatever. This is exactly what you should expect out of a WWE show. But I don't know. I was like, I don't know what you expected kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what.
Well, I hadn't. So, like I mentioned, I hadn't watched a show with Doug in like 10 years. I mean, we don't talk nearly as much as we should, and not nearly as much as we used to. So, every once in a while, we'll get on these text exchanges, and we'll go back and forth for, like 10 minutes. And he'll probably watch this and know what, but we used to go out like every week, and we get together and talk, and then we get together and watch the pay-per-views, and we just nonstop talk wrestling. And if his wife and kids come over here, which doesn't happen very much anymore, but when it did, like, we would just get in a corner and we'd just sit and talk wrestling for like 2 hours, while everyone else did their own thing. And so this was really cool to just like sit down with him, and then we had a blast. Like, we had the time of our lives watching this show. But I mean, when you actually sit down and break it down, and people say, oh, it was the worst pay-per-view in history, whatever. It wasn't the worst pay-per-view in history. But you know what? It wasn't like terribly good. Like it was fine. The what it was missing was there was nothing bad on the show. There was some bad decisions that they made. There was a couple bad finishes, but there wasn't a bad match really. The Women's Rumble wasn't very good, but the actual, like, what it was missing was a blowaway great match that you almost always get on a WWE pay-per-view. So like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins could have been that if they would have had a better finish. Brock and Bobby could have been that, except they just chose not to. They just had they had a really like a slow match, like not the kind of match I was expecting, like fireworks, and it was they just had a WWE match with a bad finish. So and then the Men's Rumble was fine. It was average. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was there. So yeah. I mean, I'm never gonna go back and watch it again. But it set up some good stuff that I'm interested in. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so I would get killed. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, you're gonna get killed if what?
Okay, I was gonna say I would get killed if I had you on the show and I didn't ask you about DC. So I have to ask you about DC because Garrett says you're a DC guy.
I'm Marvel and DC. Like, I guess everything. Lay it on me, man.
Okay, so I lay it on me because here's my thing. I like Marvel. I like the Avengers. I like Iron Man. I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I watched that. I watched what's that? Agent Carter? Was that the show?
Yes.
The prequel to Captain America kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it.
The female.
That's my knowledge of Marvel and DC. So what's the difference? Like, I know Scott Young, our buddy. We both co-host on the Wrap with him occasionally. He has the podcast, Take a Knee for Marvel versus DC. So I haven't listened to it because I'm not terribly interested. And I see behind you got X-Men like crazy. Everything behind you, I got a just above your shoulders, X-Men.
I got a book.
I've never seen X-Men. I've never seen anything X-Men, believe it or not.
I am not a fan of the movies or any of the stuff that they've done, even though I have friends that actually worked on those movies. I don't like the people who made the movies, and by extension, I stay away from them. So I have a very easy explanation for the difference between how you look at characters in the DC universe, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, the Justice League pantheon. Okay, you have that on the DC.
So those are all DC.
Those are all DC. Okay. And then on the Marvel side, you have Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, everyone that you see in the Avengers. Okay,
right.
The way that the way.
So I have watched DC then because
yes, you have. Yes, the way that you cut the knife between the way that they portray those two types of heroes are in the DC universe, you have heroes that are disguised as ordinary people that are best portrayed as godlike. Okay. And in the Marvel universe, you have godlike characters who only very much just want to try and be as ordinary as possible with these powers. And so when you take those two distinctions and you use the mindset of what their motivation is, all of a sudden you see the presentation of these heroes in a different way. Like you see Batman and you see Superman, and they're these larger than life heroes, and they feel bigger than yourself. But when you see Captain America and Iron Man, what draws you to them is their humanity, if that makes any sense.
No, totally. Because so I'll say, like, my wife is more drawn to the Marvel, like the Iron Man and the Avengers. And so for me, like, and when you mentioned, like, you rattled off a bunch of names there, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all that. I haven't seen Wonder Woman. Well, I used to watch the TV series, like the old TV series back in the day, but I haven't seen the new movies. But the Batman, I've watched almost all the Batmans, and the Joker and all that. I'm totally into that. Superman, the original ones, with Christopher Reeves.
Yes.
I watched Supergirl, and
the movie or the TV show.
What was the other one? Smallville.
Yeah, Smallville came out.
No, the TV show that was maybe like a decade ago. Smallville.
Okay. Yeah.
And then is there a new Superman?
There's a new TV show right now that they're doing.
Is there a new Superman?
Yes. They did a TV universe, so like a mini movie version where within TV limitations of network television, they kind of created a smaller version. There's no Batman in it. There's no Wonder Woman, but they just brought in Superman. They've done the Flash. They're hinting at Green Lantern. They're doing what they can on TV with a TV budget. Yeah. Flash.
Okay.
So whenever you watch like a Marvel thing, it's always drawing on your humanity. And whenever you watch something with DC, it seems to draw upon the spectacle and the wow of it. Like, wow, this is amazing. Like, it's supposed to take your breath away. And those are that's how I've always like figured that they try and present the properties. And so you'll see a lot of Marvel on Disney, and then on HBO Max, you're going to see all the DC stuff. So you'll very rarely see an overlap now, because the line is so divided with intellectual property. And I was gonna say one of the best analogies for Batman in wrestling would be Seth Rollins, and I'll tell you why. Batman, you can do several different interpretations of this guy. You can have him as the detective. You can have him as the martial artist. You can have him dressed up 5 different ways, like having him campy like Val Kilmer or Adam West, or super serious like Michael Keaton, or go with something different with like Robert Pattinson. That everybody has a different interpretation, a different favorite version of Batman, much like everyone has a different version or a favorite interpretation of when they see Seth Rollins. He's got the Burn It Down Seth Rollins, or the Seth frickin' Rollins, or the Joker Rollins, or the Shield Rollins. And they're all the same Rollins, but they're all slightly different variations of the core presentation that the audience is familiar with. So, like, they're experimenting with that, but you can't do that with a lesser guy. You can't make Austin Theory have 5 different costumes and make it matter, but you can do that with Batman. You can put a cool new costume on him and say, like, dude, Batman has a costume on right now. So that's why I kind of like a good analogy for that right there.
So where would you put Roman Reigns? Like,
I mean, you kind of have to make him Superman, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That was what was in my head.
Like he's the alpha. You make Brock Lesnar Doomsday. I don't know, the guy that's on Rampage to take down Superman.
Thor.
You could, but then you're going in Marvel and DC. You got to stay on the DC. You see,
like, right, yeah. Universe, well, see, that's where the distinction. Yeah, that's where the distinction is lost. Yeah, is Watchmen DC?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Scott Young has a running joke about multiple Earths, right? That he does on the rap with Keela about. Yeah. So that is all born out of the DC universe. They all have like if a story doesn't work out in DC universe, like it just doesn't make sense, and you can't reconcile it with something else that has happened in the past, they would just say, "Oh, that happened on a different Earth," or that this happened on Earth 5, but this actually takes place on Earth 2. And so years ago, they crunched them all together, and the stories didn't work. So they've uncrunched it, crunched it, uncrunched it, crunched it multiple times over until they have remade the dough ball into something remotely edible. And so in 2022, that is where we are in comic books now, with people dipping in and dipping out. And you can find a story that's up your alley from 40 years ago, or you can find one 5 years ago, and they'll have nothing to do with each other, but they'll feature the same person.
Yeah, and that's where I get confused. So I just kind of watch the stuff, and I usually go into these movies not knowing anything. You know, like I watched Suicide Squad, and I knew nothing about any of them, and I just enjoyed the movie for what it was. You know, I mean, I knew what was her name, the Harley Quinn. I knew she was, you know, I knew her from Batman, but you know, I didn't know how she related to any of these other characters, but I just enjoyed the movie for what it was. And I just sat there the whole time thinking, I'm watching Alexa Bliss. Like, cause I just couldn't believe how much she looks like Alexa Bliss. And I'm like, if WWE could put that character on TV as opposed to like this little girl who's playing with a doll, it would be so much more effective. But they'd also get sued.
You know, it's one of those, like, how far can you go before it's just outright intellectual theft, right? And WWE will go farther than most before it's intellectual theft. There are things in those movies that I do wish that they would.
And maybe that's why they add.
Go ahead.
Maybe that's why they add the magic and the dolls and everything to make it different. Because otherwise, it's just a blatant out theft of the Harley Quinn character. Like, I mean,
it's the best they can do, man. It's the best they can do. They got creatively bankrupt people trying to make creative decisions, and it just like they're showing their ass every day. It just sucks, but you know, whatever.
It's a great character. You know, the Harley Quinn, not the doll playing with Lily. You know, that's a horrible character, but Harley Quinn's a great character.
But I mean, like, the idea behind it, there is something there. You can do it, do something with it, but you have to put in the work as a creative company to make it compelling in such a way that it has legs. Like Alexa Bliss as the Fiendess is whatever, because you can't do anything with it. People have realized that the jig is up, and that there's not going to be a great wrestling run out of this. It is just a chapter in a variety show, and
they had an idea, and then they had kind of a destination, but they really had no idea how to get there, and they didn't have any compelling stories to do while they were trying to get there. So they just kept telling the same story over and over again, with no resolution in mind, and we got what we got. I mean, we just saw the same thing every week with her losing her mind and things flying all over the place, and a doll that, you know, would magically appear, and it made no sense. And all they needed to do was say this was a girl that, you know, lost her mind, and now she's insane and she's dangerous. And she's and that's it. Like, that's all you need. You don't need magic. You just need a person. And especially in wrestling, she could have been like Darby Allin, where she's using her body as a weapon, you know, and like been that, you know, like Harley Quinn. But no, it's, you know, she's got to be magic. And
it bums me out, because if you think about it, the lack of a payoff for investment is so much more damaging and devastating for audience retention, because they have gone so long with believing that there is going to be something rewarding at the end of this journey, that I've gone all this time. It's not quite Game of Thrones, 7 seasons in 10 years, but if you're going 3 years with this Alexa Bliss journey, and it just turns out that they're just going to flip a switch and like turn her colors back pastel and do a throwback, Are people gonna turn on her for that?
Now she's a cheerleader again. Yay. Yeah.
Like, cool, great, but is that what kind of time did you waste? Like, her career, her ring time, her opportunities? Like, great. She didn't have to do any work and get paid a ton of money. But there were people that like believed in her and wanted to see her go in the ring and show off what she could do. And they just didn't give that to the fans. And you can't be mad at them for not getting that. You just can't.
Right. No. And you know, so what the end game is going to be, you know, like they'll just drop it at some point, and then 10 years from now, she'll come back at the Royal Rumble and she'll be, you know, Alexa Bliss with Lily, and everyone will scream and love it. And, you know, and they'll buy her doll again. And then we don't see her again for 5 years.
You nailed it, dude. You nailed it. That's exactly what's going to happen.
It's coming. You know, it's coming.
The retro tour is going to be in full blood.
Yeah. All right. So you know what? We might as well wrap this up. We've gone over half an hour. This is one of the longer shows I've done, but I had a great chat with you, and I definitely want to do this again sometime if you'll do it.
Anytime, man. Had a great time.
Yeah. Anything you want to? Awesome. Me too. So for Jeremy, I want to thank him very much for coming on. I've been Grandpa Dez, and this has been Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez.